Should Antifa be declared a domestic terrorist group? Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and due to the petition that's been going around, which has reached over 250,000 signatures, which is trying to get Antifa declared as a domestic terrorist group, a number of people are weighing in on this, and numerous people have different views whose opinions I do respect. On the one hand, we have people like Mundane Matt that basically say, fuck yeah, I find them extremely annoying and they do commit domestic terror, which is a sentiment I can completely relate to. On the other hand, we have people like Tim Pool who echoed one of my first thoughts, which is that if Antifa gets declared by the state to be a domestic terrorist group, it would further embolden them because they would get to think that one, they are a threat, which means that their tactics must be working, so they'd probably continue, and two, they are persecuted by the fascist government, which justifies their existence, and they could thus use that to recruit new members. So, well, what do I think? Well, my answer is pretty simple, and it depends upon consistency and what gets officially declared to be a domestic terrorist organization and what doesn't. If Antifa behaves in a similar way to other things that have been declared as a domestic terrorist group, then they need to be classified that way. Or what good is a classification? So when I had this thought, I decided to do some investigation into the KKK because I had assumed that the Ku Klux Klan must have been declared a domestic terrorist organization at some point. But it turns out that I was wrong. Even the Ku Klux Klan hasn't been declared a domestic terrorist organization. And so, due to consistency being the primary factor behind my decision to decide whether or not it should be classified as a domestic terrorist group, I must say that it would probably not be a good idea to classify Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, unless, of course, our government randomly decided to classify the Klan as such too, about 150 years too late. Because what would that look like to people? It would look like people are saying fighting against fascism is bad, but white supremacy is good. That's what it would look like. So why hasn't the Klan been classified as a domestic terrorist group? Well, it has something to do with the fact that there isn't a centralized leadership, and I can assume that some factions behave completely differently and have somewhat different beliefs than other ones, which I can assume is the same for Antifa. So, I hate to say it, but as much as I can't stand Antifa and I see them as the main cause of the growing violence from both sides, there's also perfectly nice people mixed up in Antifa that have simply been lied to about what these people are all about. Lied to both by Antifa themselves, who lie all the time, but also by the media that covers for them. So, I'm sorry if you got your hopes up about the White House petition, but I don't think that this classification as a terrorist group is going to happen. And I suggest that if you don't like Antifa, you should start brainstorming other ways of fighting against violent extremism, like figuring out who is funding its going down. And of course, donate to me on PayPal or Patreon. My email is in the description, and stay tuned by hitting the bell button and hoping that YouTube doesn't unsubscribe you.